Welcome to the final week, the 13th week of the exploration of when the church gets it right. This last characteristic, which we are exploring, uh, taken out of context, appears to be very self-centered and very selfish. But standing alone, this charge is justified because it does appear to be selfish and self-centered. However, taken in the context of Jesus' life and teaching, this last characteristic is, in my opinion, just as important as any other. This characteristic is that the church that gets it right is a church that takes care of itself. Not for the purpose of self-preservation, but for the preservation of its mission. This characteristic is aligned with the one and great commandment: care for God, care for others as you care for yourself. It's true for individuals. Finally, no one but oneself has the primary responsibility of taking care of oneself. But in regards to the church, the community of faith, I simply offer that if the shoe fits, let's wear it. Because the church that gets it right is the church that is attentive to taking care of itself. Now, I want to address this characteristic in the context of 2023, March 26th, if you will. It is my judgment that a priority in taking care of itself is for the church to protect its identity and respond when its identity is being diluted or challenged. And such is the case today. As the news continually surfaces the concept that the Christian nationalist is offering, and in some cases the white Christian nationalist movement in the United States in our culture today. The church that gets it wrong is the church that ignores these references, dismisses them as those who affirm and support this movement will gradually sort of fade away and will melt as an ice cube on a hot summer day. Indeed, that is not the case, and is not the church taking care of itself. For if the church does not protect its identity, indeed somebody else is trying to define it. And we must never ignore the effort to redefine the church from the outside in. For the authors of the Christian nationalist and the white Christian nationalist movement often have never been involved in the life of a Christian community. But they use Christian as a label on their journey to power and dominion and control. You see, we must aggressively address this definition of Christianity. IAN, the suffix Christian, Christ, IAN. IAN means of. We are of Jesus, and there is nothing in the Christian nationalist movement that is supported by the life and teachings of Jesus. See, Christian nationalism is an idolatrous movement. It is an idol that represents the teachings of Jesus as a way of governance rather than a way of life. The way of agape love, the way of empathy, the way of sacrifice. The way of agape love is not a way of governance. Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. You see, the teachings of Jesus are about transforming culture, not governing culture. And the travesty is that the media and those who determine the news of the day casually allow Christian to be used as a label. And as a label violates what the Christian movement, being of Christ, is all about. To use Christian as a label has no limits of falsehood. How about Christian strip joints? How about Christian candy bars? Either one is as legitimate as Christian nationalism, for all such uses of Christian as a label are idolatrous and an offense to the church that we must address. These uses of Christian as a label must be carefully and publicly refuted for the church to maintain its true identity as followers of Jesus. This is what it means for the church to get it right, to take care of itself by protecting the truth of its identity. This idolatrous movement reminds me of the danger it is for any person, including myself, to claim to be a Christian. A beautiful reference to this issue is a line from Maya Angelou, the recipient of the 2010 Presidential Medal of Freedom. She said she was always amazed when people came up to her and told her they were Christian. I think, already, she said, you already got it? And then she continued, I'm working at it, which means I try to be kind and fair and generous and respectful and courteous to every human being. She was on her way. She was in her 80s when she said that. She had not arrived. It sounded like the perfect Christian baseline to me, says Barbara Taylor Brown in her book, Holy Envy. For she said, how to treat every human being, neighbor and stranger alike, is what the Christian identity is all about. And that is the identity of the Christian community, not, quote, Christian nationalism, using Christian as a label rather than a way of life. See, this is a helpful warning to all individuals and churches who are on the journey of faith with Jesus. We're not those who have arrived. We're not those who have all the answers. We are those who are on a journey, followers of Jesus whose life and teachings were not a prescription concerning how to govern, as Christian nationalists claim, but a way to live with love, with empathy and sacrifice as the guiding lights. You see, our vision is not a way to govern. Our vision is caught in that great hymn that we sing, be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art, thou my best thought by day and by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. You see, that's not Christian nationalism. That's a way to live, not a prescription for governance as a way towards power and control. I think the church that gets it right is a church that takes care of itself. And one of the ways in 2023 that we must take care of ourselves is to protect our true identity as followers of Jesus, the way of agape love. This concludes our journey of exploring the characteristics of the church when we get it right. I simply encourage you to reflect on which of these characteristics are experienced in your journey of faith and which need to be nourished to enable the church to get it right as followers of Jesus in your community of faith. Thank you for your participation in our journey. Next week, we begin a new journey to take a look at our experience with COVID, the pandemic. Taking a look at the pandemic through the lens of faith. You're invited to that journey as well. Thank you for being a part of our life together.